For the first time in history, the Catholic Church has an American pontiff. White smoke rising above the Sistine Chapel, signaling that Cardinal Robert Prevost of Chicago was elected. Thanks for joining us for Denver 7 News tonight at 6 o'clock. I'm Shannon Ogden.
And I'm Jessica Porter. Prevost chose the name Pope Leo XIV. The 69-year-old delivered his first blessing in front of tens of thousands of people in St. Peter's Square.
I should also like to thank all my cardinal brethren who have chosen me to be the successor of Peter and to walk with you as a united church, always seeking peace and justice.
The late Pope Francis brought Prevost to the Vatican in 2023 to head the office that vets bishop nominations. It's one of the most important jobs in the Catholic Church.
And we have team coverage of this historic day.
Denver 7's Veronica Acosta is hearing reaction here in Denver. But first, we want to begin with Scripps News Group's Joe St. George in Rome.
And Joe, you've been following the Vatican since those first votes during the conclave. So what can you tell us about the background of, as we said, this first American pontiff?
Well, I think, guys, the background has to start with the context that not many people thought this was going to happen. And that's a familiar theme that you'll hear in the coverage of Pope Leo XIV on this day. And the lead up of this conclave, I asked a number of Vatican insiders here in Rome. I said, look, there's 10 American cardinals participating. What are the chances that someone from the U.S. becomes Pope? And oftentimes I heard a familiar refrain that the U.S. is just such a superpower that cardinals most likely would be hesitant to put an American in the papacy. However, a few insiders, a few priests did say the word but. They said, but if anyone could potentially do it, keep an eye on Cardinal Robert Prevost. And if you look at his resume, his biography, you quickly realize why Pope Leo XIV was chosen by his colleagues. At least 89 cardinals voted for him to become the next leader of the Roman Catholic Church. Yes, his birth certificate says he's from Chicago. Yes, he has a degree in mathematics from Villanova University. But he's very much a priest of the world. He spent much of his priestly career overseas, missionary priest, many years in Peru. He speaks many languages. He speaks Spanish and Portuguese and French. He speaks we saw Italian today on the steps of St. Peter's. I expect that he'll be putting his multilingual skills to use with a traveling pope going to many countries in the near future. We're going to see a lot of the new pope in the coming days. He's scheduled to have a mass with the cardinals that just elected him tomorrow.
And what happens next for the new pope, Joe?
Yeah, in addition to that mass on Friday, we're told that he'll be meeting with the media early next week. That will be interesting because I think that will really give us a little sense as to what type of Pope Leo XIV will be. Is he truly a Pope Francis II in some degree, continuing the legacy of Pope Francis? Is he trying to move the papacy in a different direction? Maybe he doesn't have the answers so early on. We do expect an inauguration-style mass of the new Holy Father, the new leader of the Roman Catholic Church. Usually that happens about a week after any new pope is elected. Given the fact he's an American, it'll be interesting seeing which American Catholics come here to Rome for that mass. You know, guys, it's an institution nearly 2,000 years old. It's hard to have firsts, but there was a first today.
It definitely shocked everyone, and everyone's eager to learn how he'll lead and what issues he'll take on. Scripps News Group's Joe St. George reporting in Rome for us. Enjoy the rest of Rome, and thank you.
Catholics here in Colorado very surprised and very excited to learn that an American was elected, the 267th pontiff. A monumental moment, of course, in the history of the Catholic Church. Denver 7's Veronica Acosta live at the Cathedral Basilica of the Immaculate Conception here in Denver with more on the local reaction. Veronica?
You know, here in Denver, we really started hearing those church bells ringing as soon as the world started seeing that white smoke billowing from the chimney at the Sistine Chapel. Father Samuel Moorhead, he actually led the midday mass earlier today, and he told us he was excited about a couple of things. The first, there's a new pope, and then the second, that new pope is American.
Oh, our hearts are filled with amazing joy today. Not only do we have a Habemus Papam, a new pope, but he turned out to be an American, which we've never thought in the life of the Catholic Church that we would ever see this moment.
Yeah, a shocking moment indeed for so many Catholics, so many people. As soon after the announcement was made and we saw Pope Leo walk out onto the balcony, that special mass was called here in Denver. Devout Catholics, other churchgoers dropping whatever they were doing to get here. Some were shocked by how quickly they felt the decision was made, but ultimately they were thrilled that there was one, and of course they were ready to celebrate.
I was on the phone with a client and she said, "Oh my goodness, we have a new pope. The white smoke." And I said, what? Because it was very quick. I don't know, but the Holy Spirit moves quick. So here we are.
And Pope Leo, he is from Chicago. He has done mission work all around the world. He's even spent time as a bishop in Peru. In Denver, I'm Veronica Acosta, Denver 7.
Veronica, thank you. And now that we know who the new pope is, there is the question of how he will lead. I spoke to Kyle Turner, the director of ministry at Regis University. He says a clue might be in the origin of the name that the pope chose, Pope Leo XIV.
So Pope Leo XIII served as pope at the end of the 19th century. And one of the real significant things that Pope Leo XIII did was wrote an encyclical, so a letter to the church and to the world, a really important teaching known as Rerum Novarum. That was the title of that letter, and it really became a foundational text for what we now know as Catholic social teaching, the Catholic social thought that the Catholic Church teaches.
The Rerum Novarum articulates the Church's response to social conflict in the wake of capitalism. It promotes justice and supports workers. Coming up at 6:30, hear more of our conversation, including how the Catholic Church is shifting away from its European-focused leadership.